It's weird, it's not very humid out here. Normally I get like that one's very humid. So, where was I? 1715. Pirates are coming through town, right? She falls in love pretty quickly. So, guy number one. Yes, there's going to be a tally. There's a handful. Guy number one is James Bonnie. You already kind of see where this one's going, right? Because we already know her name was Anne Bonnie. Dad didn't approve because he's a filthy pirate. They run away to Jamaica. They get married. Anne Cormac is now Anne Bonnie, the famous female pirate. However, this is not Captain Jack Sparrow that she was hoping for. This guy is a privateer. He's a spy for the British. He's a coward in her eyes. So she falls in love again a few years later. This guy's name is John Rackham, a.k.a. Calico Jack. This is literally the person they based your Captain Jack Sparrow character off of. So, he is the Captain Jack Sparrow that she was hoping for. He has his own ship. Anne wants to be part of it. Can't put a girl on a pirate crew. Does anybody know why?
Bad luck at sea.
Right. They are bad luck on the ship. So, he makes a deal with her. If you dress like a guy, you can be part of the crew, but you're going to be a female in my quarters. She's okay with this because Dad used to cross-dress her as a boy apprentice back home in Ireland to keep her away from his wife. So she's like, whatever, it's a man's world, I'm a pirate, let's go. Now, let's put two and two together. She's a female in his quarters. She's eventually going to get pregnant. You cannot have a pregnant pirate dude on the crew. Somebody's going to figure out that she's a girl, and then they're going to get rid of Jack. They're going to vote him off. He drops her off in Cuba. We'll have the baby over here. We'll figure it out later when you come back. She goes and has the baby, but returns with no child. We have no idea what happens to the child. We don't know the gender, name, nothing. None of the research I found can find anything relative to that. However, she's dressed like a girl when she comes back. This makes Jack pretty angry. So now everybody's going to find out that he let a girl on the ship. And while she was away giving birth, he captured another pirate crew. They're down below deck. She's going to go flirting to make him even more mad, because that's what Anne does. We're on guy number 3, in case you lost track. Guy number 3 turns out to be a female, dressed like a guy to be part of the pirate crew that Calico Jack just captured. So now we have 2 females trying to be pirates on the same ship. Her name is Mary Reed. She went by Mark Reed to become a pirate. So, her and Mary become friends, possibly lovers. We're never going to know for sure. But the British find out where they are, and they send a fleet of ships to come take down one measly little pirate ship. Anne and Mary are the only 2 pirates not drunk enough to come up and fight with their 1 bullet flintlocks. And it's probably because they don't know how to use the cannons yet. That's a speculation, not a fact. However, they're going to get taken. You can't have 2 ladies taking on a fleet of ships and expect them to win. So as they're being arrested, she looks at her captain, her beau, Calico Jack, and says, "You should have fought like a man instead of being hanged like a dog." The word dog shows up here a lot, by the way. The judge wants to see the 2 men that fought back so valiantly on their own, after he's already tried and hung Calico Jack and the drunk pirates that wouldn't fight. So, by the way, the judge's name is the same as mine, so if you get the name Nick here, it's relative in one of 3 ways. It's very weird. But anyway, they go in front, they reveal their gender. He doesn't care that they're female. They're still pirates. He's still going to hang them. "We plead our bellies," was the last thing they screamed out, because you can't hang a pregnant woman in 1720. It's illegal. So he sends them both back to jail, delays the hanging. Dad is still here in the Charlestown area. He has all of his Irish money because he was an attorney back home. He bails out Anne, brings her back home. She remarries. That's husband number 2, but guy number 4, because we're going to count Mary Reed because we're not really sure. So she has 4 kids and dies at the age of 84. Yes, very abrupt. However, Mary Reed, she died a year later in that Jamaican jail, 1721, from whatever pirates died from in that Jamaican jail. Most articles will tell you that it was fever, but it was more than likely some kind of scurvious bumpiness that was whatever. Use your imagination. I'm sure it was nasty. Just don't die in a jail because you have fever. However, I left out 2 things here. You guys have been a fantastic group, by the way. This is our last stop, so everybody knows. So we're going to do a big hurrah. I only have 2 questions for you of things that we can actually prove. Everything else is going to be fair game. We never know what occurs in this location. The 2 questions I left out are the name of Anne Bonnie's parents. That's the father and his mistress. I also left out the name of Calico Jack's ship. So, 2 very unique questions. I'm going to steal you guys for 1 more minute. I know we've been at this corner for a long time, but we're going to spread out quite far once I release you. There's a reason why I give you that heated warning at the beginning of the headache, the nausea, the dizziness. Back in September of last year, it was a nice cool night, probably a little bit cooler than where we are now, probably lower 70s. The kid next to me goes white as a ghost, literally, and starts to drop. I have to pick him up by his armpit. His boyfriend picks him up from the other side of him. We get him over to that wall over there by the powder magazine, because there's a ledge where he can sit. I get him a bottle of water. He's feeling better. I then tell the story. It's important to know that they don't know what you guys now know about Anne Bonnie. After I spread everybody out, the 2 gentlemen pull me aside and say, "Nick, we got to tell you, we are 2 transgender males," meaning I had 2 females dressed as males, just like Anne and Mary in the story, and it made complete sense as to why one of them nearly passed out the minute we entered the space. So, it freaks some people out, but again, these are the weird things that I see, and I can't explain them. other than the fact of where it could have tied. And we actually had a pretty good night as far as evidence that night as well, if I recall. So things were going on. So again, those are the real reasons why I give those heated warnings. Psychics and mediums normally don't make it past the Pinckney Mansion site. And especially since the high readings of EMF that we get in that location. We didn't get those tonight, so that was actually Travis was telling you if you see any triple digits. The highest I've ever seen that device go is at the Pinckney Mansion site at 214 milligauss. That's like putting your head inside a microwave that's running. Like, that's how dangerous it is. We left that night. I have seizures and epilepsy. I can't be around that kind of high EMF. But psychics, they drop like a wet noodle. It's the craziest thing I've ever seen. However, those of you with cameras, you get to venture out a little bit. You can go over to the other side and check out the Sue Howard Hardy site with the sign if you'd like. The only thing I ask is that you do not interrupt the other tours. We are in a space where there are vehicles. Again, kind of the rules apply with the cameras there as well. You can also go and check out the front of the powder magazine. So that means you have to exit the lot and go in front of the bushes. Again, other tours like to stop in the front. Just don't interrupt. Have some fun with it. Lasers are safe to go in here. So again, that's all on you. So if you go into the front, just make sure your lasers stay on the front lawn and not actually up on the building.
Okay.
So, but again, people are going to be looking at us pretty weird because you're going to see other tours coming through here. Some of the other tour guides, I've been doing this for 3 years and I still haven't caught on to what the hell I'm doing out here. So again, I don't have a whole lot of friends in this industry. Taking a lot of business from them. But again, we are going to spread out and have some fun. I'm actually going to go kind of chill by the wall and wait for you guys to start coming to me. Give it 5 minutes. If you don't hear or see anything relevant, just come back to the wall. Last night I had to gather people up after 20 minutes. They were all over the town. I'm like, guys, you got a couple $1,000s on my gear. Let's get back to the wall. So again, give it like 5-7 minutes, and then I'll be over there by the wall, and you guys can come tell me what you've heard. So with yours.
Did you write down what I had last time?
Where at?
The 21.
At the Pinckney Mansion site?
Yeah, I don't remember that.
Yeah, I wrote it down.
Okay.
With yours, you're going to use the motion sensor in here because these colors and your numbers are probably not going to give us anything. So you're all about the pictures of this place, but you can ask Ann Bonnie what her hair color is, and hopefully she's going to show you. She showed us last night.
You want to go
so
next door?
again, pull up that antenna, hit the white button in the back,
I'll just
and ask
follow you.
for her hair color. And see if she'll tell you what color her
Do
hair
you
is.
just want to do it right now to see what it is?
Do it. I already know where the answer is. I want to see if you can find out. Lucy, no lasers on the street.
No lasers. Yeah.
You want me to walk with it?
No lasers on the street.
Not afraid
This
of
ain't a straight. This is a farther line.
Yeah, I'll go with you.
Does it say stranded?
I heard dance.
Yeah.
I thought it said stranded.
I heard dance.
It's over here across the street, I think. Is that it?
Yeah, that's it.
But there's one on that side of this. The sign is.
The sign's over
Where's
there.
Lucy at?
She said she's not coming.
Sorry.
You just left me. Lucy, you gotta tell me when you're gonna run off.
Oh yeah, I forgot you kind of got to follow me. You get anything?
Alright. What kind of weird stuff you guys hearing now? Oh, you're getting a little bit of blip over there. That's good. We don't normally see that in this location. So you went all the way to 20 with that one. Anybody hear anything? See anything? Of course, Jocelyne's got her list.
I heard Comfy Road. This is Love, Shelter, and Broadcasting. That means
Nothing of relevance that I know of.
I got company and brick.
You've heard Brick? Well, Company was actually heard by both of them.
yeah.
People are going to be coming to their cars. This is about the time that they start pouring out of here, which is why I pulled us all the way over here to the corner. Susan, did you get anything on yours? Nothing along the way? Where's our word list? Where do we have that at? Who's got the word list?
Me?
Yes. Sorry. You're in my peripheral. I missed you.
Kid, loud, expression, founder, beast, fisherman, hail, stream, propose.
How far was proposed? Was that back in Philadelphia Alley? And I like founder as well. Because Charles Pinckney, the nephew, is actually considered one of the founders of Charleston. And he obviously signed the Constitution, and he's buried across the street. So, I'm actually pretty happy with that too. All right, so let's crowd in a little bit more, because again, the other tours like to just cut through this little gateway over here. So I'm going to tell you about why they're all going over to that cemetery first. Just because you guys are probably all wondering why I don't follow what the other tours do, but we heard the term baby girl, and we have the word kid on there. So that's for the kids who have been used in the late 1800s from this story, but we're going to go with that anyway. So they're all going to the other side of St. Philip's Cemetery. The other side for us is on the other side of this wall. So there's two sides on purpose. In the event that someone dies and they're native to Charleston, they go to the other side by the church. That's the graveyard. This is the cemetery. So just think of the yard goes to the back of the house. So with that said, both Charles Pinckney, the husband, and the nephew are buried across the street because they're from Charleston. They were born here. John Calhoun, your 7th Vice President, is buried on the other side of this wall because he's not from here. He just lived here for a very long time. So again, that's why he's over here. They actually shuffled his ass back and forth trying to figure out where the hell he was supposed to go. So it turns out he's not from here. He just lived here since he was a child. But they're all going over there because there's a sign inside the gate. I don't know if you've seen it when you were walking around. It says, "There's no ghost here but the Holy Ghost." So there's a reason for it. 1888, a young lady died by the name of Sue Howard Hardy. I stop on her name because of initials. Again, it's cheesy, it's corny, but it shows up all the time. And we actually got her initials on the envoy last night. So SHH. Very cheesy. I hate it, but it shows up. I can't help but tell it to you. But anyway, she died 6 days after her stillborn child. Very sad story for her, but in 1987, 99 years later, a local photographer is taking photographs, putting a book together, and he captures a full apparition. So we don't go over there because I let the other ghost tours have it. It's their one show and tell. You guys are working with all this crazy gadgetry. So again, we don't take up their 20 people going over there every 5 minutes. I am going to show you the photograph. The weird thing about the photo is that this photographer took it to Kodak because he didn't know what to do with it because he didn't have the tech that we have now, right? So it's 1987. Kodak didn't even know what to do with this photograph. So for guys like me, this thing is gold. It is cursed to females. And I know it's mainly females in this group tonight. The only thing I'm going to ask is you don't touch the tablet when I'm going around the room. Reason being is if you handle it, even in a digital format, it is going to have the same effect of the things we talked about at the beginning. The headache, the nausea, the dizziness. Pregnant females, oh, you're already getting it. Look at she stumbled. Pregnant females probably not going to have a good pregnancy based on the gist of the stillborn child from the story. I'm not going to be the guy where somebody had a great vacation, touched my tablet, and now I cursed your family 9 months later.
Oh, no.
So again, don't touch the tablets. So when I bring this photograph up, I'll zoom in on the actual apparition so you can see the detail of it because it is in detail. It is pretty crazy stuff, actually.
What happens if you touch it, though?
I handle it every night. I'm touching it right now.
Yeah,
It's right there.
just for women.
So this is, I'll do like 2 to 3 people at a time. This is the full photograph. Here's your apparition. You're looking at her back, head, baby basket next to her. This is Sue's grave. This is another instance where the baby is probably buried with the mother. So
I heard the word Bella.
I don't know who Bella is. It's actually
So that's her grave right behind?
right. This headstone right here is her grave. Shoulders, head, baby basket next to her.
Oh,
Even
wow.
when you zoom in with the computer a little bit further, you can see the weaving of the basket. It's pretty
Oh, yeah.
pretty detailed. Reset. Reset.
Okay, so shut that off.
It's weird because every time I aim, it's off.
Baby basket next to her.
It's so weird because every time I aim at it, it starts going off.
It's because you're moving so fast.
Basically, you scream.
I got this. All right, so I keep my distance, but that is the exact reason why all of those tours go over there. They elaborate the story a little bit further, of course. I'm actually researching and trying to find the census records of where they actually lived, and of course it's underneath her husband's name, but those census records are destroyed from one of our fires that we've had down here. So it has been a kind of a battle trying to go through all of these different city records, trying to find out where they actually lived. Yeah, again, I can't just take it as at face value. I got to dive in further. I've even dove into the church records because, again, I already told you I went through the St. Philip's records looking for baby George from the Pinckney family, but I was trying to find the name or gender of Sue's baby, but I can't find it. By the way, in the event, because we did hear baby girl, and I give you a link, if the photo is in the link, I will put warning cursed photo. You guys have to imagine, I do this for a living, and I take it very seriously. So don't click the link, even on your phones. It's the same principle. So, yes, definitely cursed to females. We're here because
So you're saying what now? Say it again. I'm sorry.
so if like we have baby girl, and I have a few links about
she
that.
heard the baby girl.
Right. So because I have to explain what that means based on where we were.
Right.
At times, if it's something relative to the photograph, I'll put the link to the photograph, but put warning cursed photo. So that way you don't accidentally open it on your phone going, oh, wow, I want to see what the photograph looks like. And now you're handling it, and you all of a sudden you start to get headaches, nausea, any of those symptoms. Again, it's more of a...
So don't open it if it's...
Don't open it. Gotcha. If it just has her name, I'll still put a link in there to tell you the story of it. So some links don't always show the photograph.
But if it has a photo, don't open it.
I'll put warning.
Okay.
Fair? All right. So we're actually here because of that little building over there with the crosses on it. Those are not crosses, by the way. Those are earthquake bolts. If you're not familiar with earthquake bolts, they're basically turnbuckles. If we have another earthquake like what we did in 1886, which we have not, you can turn those turnbuckles, and it's supposed to straighten and tighten the building back up to help it resist any of the damage. Yes, Susan, it is a very weird thing, but it also doesn't work. So you guys have actually been looking at earthquake bolts all over town, and you just didn't realize it. They're in the shape of pineapples and lion heads and all kinds of stuff. It's just part of our Charleston charm. Even the apartment building, that brick building behind it, does have earthquake bolts on both sides, so it actually intertwines. Very interesting the way they actually put these buildings together. The reason I bring these up is because those are the first set of earthquake bolts that Charleston put in. Why? It's the oldest government building in South Carolina. It was finished in 1713. We are here because of the time frame that this building was being built, is when Anne Bonny arrived to Charlestown to start her pirate career. So, we talked about the Charlestown Wall earlier as well when we were back at Lodge Alley. You guys all remember that?
Yeah.
That building, that garage, is where the wall stood. It went up Cumberland Street, past the powder magazine, and started going south towards the battery, putting the gunpowder magazine into the corners of the walls on purpose. If it gets attacked from a pirate ship or Revolutionary warship 3 blocks away, first off, it's going to have a hard time making it this far. Second, those walls are 32 inches thick. That cannonball is going to have a hard time penetrating the wall. We're going to pretend that it does and goes through it and blows up the gunpowder. There's sand in the roof that was put there during construction in the early 1700s that's supposed to go up with the explosion and fall to put out the fire of the gunpowder if it ever gets penetrated and blows up. Another great idea, but that doesn't work either. We know this because we had another powder magazine closer to the battery, much closer to the water. It did get attacked. Sand went up, the building burned to the ground. Very simple. Doesn't exist anymore. This one, it served 7 wars and 1 rebellion and has never been attacked. So that's why it still stands here. It is a museum now. If you ever need to get out our heater cold, spend the $5, go check it out. Even the inner workings of the architecture is very unique. So again, if you're into old war uniforms, it's a pretty cool little tour. I'm not an advocate for them, I just love the building. So, which is why I didn't really believe in this story to begin with, because I've been here so many times and never caught anything. So, here's what's going on. The building took 10 years to build. Does that sound like our government, 10 years? No, not at all. I'm going to answer for you. Our story begins right in the middle of its construction. So 1703 to 1713 is the construction. 1708 is where the story begins. Follow me, there's a lot of twists here. I'll slow down on the twist to make sure we're all on the same page. Young lady moves here by the name of Anne Cormack. She comes here with her father and his mistress. The mistress is Anne's mother. Is everybody with me so far? The 3 of them are running away from his wife.
Okay.
Yes, exactly. How angry was she that she got to leave Ireland to come here in 1708 by boat? Man, those are some bright lights. So, they land in Georgetown, just between us and Myrtle Beach area. Dad bought a plantation. Mom died pretty quickly, which means he has to send young Anne down here to be able to sell anything from the plantation to help keep things afloat. Anne back home in Ireland, kind of a badass chick. When she was only like 10 or 12 years old, it's kind of speculated, she killed one of her servants with a knife to the belly. Like, again, just want to put that mentality of this young lady as we go through the rest of her story. Fast forward. Building's done in 1713. Pirates are coming through town in 1715. Sorry, you guys have really made me talk a lot tonight. I'm going to take a quick drink. I'm getting a little chopped up. I'll take anybody out. I know, right? So, duels. We all tell the same story, but I'm going to tell it to you a little bit differently because you're ghost hunting. Again, you need different details than the campfire style ghost story. So, here's how this one goes. Dr. Ladd moves down here from Rhode Island. His full name is Dr. Joseph Brown Ladd. He moves here because his fiancée Amanda just inherited a bunch of money from her dead parents. She has an attorney helping her out with all of this cash flow. The attorney thinks that Dr. Ladd is just after Amanda's money. He tells Amanda, get rid of this doctor guy. To prove that he's not after her money, he comes down here to Charleston. He's going to start his medical practice and prove that he's not after her cash. And as he's coming into town, the coachman set him up to be robbed and killed. It wasn't a very good start to his stay in Charleston. But somebody was walking by. His name was Ralph Isaacs. I stop on Ralph because Ralph has the same initials as where the doctor came from. Ralph Isaacs, Rhode Island. RI will show up here quite a bit through your regular spirit boxes, and I'm hoping with the new... You got it already?
RHO. There's RHO actually in order.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so you guys are teaching me spelling now. This is cool.
Before you said anything about cash, I got cash back.
I'll be writing that one down. I want to see what comes out of this Rhode Island piece. But anyway, RI shows up here quite a bit. You just never know how. Hopefully it's going to be through the new envoy. Now, Ralph tells the doctor, dude, you don't want to stay here. There's a gunman inside. I know this guy. He's got you set up. He's going to try to take all your cash. I got friends at 59 Church Street. You can actually stay with them, and you'll be safe and good to go. Dr. Ladd takes him up on the offer, and him and Ralph become friends. The longer the doctor stays here in Charleston, the more money he starts to make. His medical practice is taking off. He's proving his point. Amanda's moving down soon. He now becomes known as the Whistling Doctor, because he makes a lot of money and his fiancée is getting the point. Now, every haunted city you're ever going to visit in the future has a cliched whistling ghost. I'm going to tell you that right now. Every single one of them. However, I actually have proof, and I don't say that because you're on my tour. Again, it is one of those pieces. We're going to talk about that in a second. But him and Ralph go see plays together. But they cannot sit next to each other because the doctor makes more money. He gets better seats. The way the higher he works. They go see Richard III one night. And they're walking home, talking about the new actress that was in the play. Dr. Ladd thought she was fantastic. Ralph, not so much. They start arguing. And then Ralph starts insulting the doctor's fiancée back home in Rhode Island. And it gets pretty ugly. They go their separate ways. What do you have? Ralph is from here. Yeah, that's why I take the street side every single time. Ralph is from here, so he has friends at the newspaper. He puts an ad in the paper telling the whole city of Charleston what he thinks of the doctor. This disgrace to society kind of mentality. You get the point. Dr. Ladd sees the ad and rebuttals with, let's go to Jewelers Alley. We're going to settle this once and for all. Kind of a bold move. So they come down, they take their 10 paces, they turn. The doctor pointed his gun in the air and he shot. He did not want to kill his friend. He just wanted to have the courage and bravery to show up to the fight. Which is often what happens at a duel, by the way, for those of you that don't know anything about dueling. But Ralph hits with one bullet. He puts it in the gun on the doctor. So the doctor doesn't die either. He drops to the ground, his friends pick him up, and they carry him home to 59 Church Street, where he dies 10 days later after refusing medical treatment. Remember, he's a doctor. He probably tried to bleed this out himself. The campfire ghost story part of this is that they say as you walk through the alley, you can hear the whistles from the doctor. What's odd about us standing over here, those spirit boxes will pick up songs with whistling in it, or the word whistle will pop up all the time lately. It seems like the past 2 months, I've been getting more and more of it. So like the Guns N' Roses song Patience with all the whistling in it, the new Maroon 5 song Moves Like Jagger, whistling in it, will only get the whistling portion of it for a split second while we're standing out here. I used to take my teams all the way through there, and it was all about listening through the regular audio for those whistles. If you're going to try this by using the voice recorders on your phone, I'm going to warn you that every local knows this story. Anybody walking up and down Cumberland Street or Queen Street on the other side is going to throw a whistle down the alley. I do it every single night. After we're done at that corner, my garage is right there. I have to pass the alley, and I do it every single night. So, I do have some that I can't debunk, but they also say you can hear gunshots while you're down there. I have no proof of any kind of gunshots whatsoever. Here's the fun part of the story. You guys now see how large those other rooms are? Yeah. And I see everybody's eyes looking away from me, and I'm like, well, there must be a group behind me. This alley didn't come all the way through at one point, before it was Jewelers Alley. It's where they actually kept the livestock in the city of Charleston. Wow. So, and it used to be called Cow Alley before that. Yeah. So we do get the word cow from time to time, even on the word list, so it does show up. But anyway, that means the bricks on the other side, near Queen Street, are older than the bricks on this side, on Cumberland Street. Those bricks are sun-dried bricks from slave children. You have one full handprint from a slave child and fingerprint swipes on the left-hand side of the alley if you're walking from this point down. Everybody wants to try to get a reading from those bricks. Everybody does. However, that brick is just like a grave. The kid is not staring at that damn brick in the afterlife. However, November 26th, 2020, my entire group decided they're going to huddle around that break, try to get a reading, a spirit box, an EMF detector, something. It's outside the window of a gentleman's dining room window of his beautiful mansion at the end of the alley. He was not very happy with me because, yes, I was out of bounds. My daughter thought it was great because Dad's getting yelled at by the new neighbor. So she was 12 or 13 at the time. But at any rate, we moved on. The next day was Thanksgiving. I did not have a tour that night because I worked in retail for over 20 years. You can understand why I took Thanksgiving off, because most of you probably go shopping on Thanksgiving. So, with that said, I got a phone call the next day, November 28th of the same year. The tourism office called me, asked me to reroute my tours or to go down halfway like everybody else. So I decided, not fair to you guys, we're going to reroute. But I didn't want to tell the story that I had to tell them that day because the next base is a pirate story. I'm a vampire guy. I'm not into pirates. I even told my team, I don't believe in this story, but we're going to see what happens. Tickets were much cheaper back then. I can't wing it anymore. Getting new to that guy. But anyway, before we leave, somebody hears the name Anne on a spirit box. I was like, okay. I did not tell them we were going to be investigating female pirate Anne Bonnie. When we got up there and I told what little bit I did know about pirates, somebody else hears the number 300. I didn't know what it meant until I researched it the next day. We were there on November 28th of 2020. Anne Bonnie's trial for piracy was November 28th of 1720. We were there on the exact 300-year anniversary of her trial.
Wow.
So, I keep taking you guys back up there in hopes that we're going to continue to capture evidence. However, what I'm going to tell you about this space is because, again, I'm not a pirate person. I've read more books and watched more damn documentaries trying to put together pirate lore for a factual tour as much as I possibly could. You're going to learn a hell of a lot about pirates that you may not have known in the past. But I will tell you it is a hit or miss location. We either get a ton of evidence like what we had at the Pinky Mansion site, that was what I considered a very heavy amount of evidence for starters in real time, or we're going to get nothing. It's just how that space works. It was kind of a crazy space. Didn't somebody hear baby girl, by the way? You did. We're going to talk about that baby girl once we get up into that space because we're going to be closer to it. So again, it's a very interesting space. Again, it's a crazy story. If anything else, you're going to learn a lot about pirates. And it'll be a full-blown, open-wide investigation like what we did at the Pinky Mansion site. So we're going to stay out of the way of the other tours. So just kind of follow my lead. We're going to go back to an ivy wall before that way I can give you guys the history before we spread out. So we're going to let these folks pass, and then we're going to actually move to your right. So, do you have anything else? Are you still listening?
Still listening.
So that way you can film through it. So you're going to basically stand on that other side. Try and keep it off the windows for sure. And if anybody starts to walk by, like cutting through here, you're obviously going to turn it off. It might be easier to use the red one, just so you don't have to hold the button, and you can keep it a little bit more steady. Perfect. So basically what we're looking for in here, folks, is any kind of motion that interrupts the grid. So that's what we're going to be looking for when I'm watching the video. Let's see. So when we crossed that last crosswalk where you guys all became ghosts almost, that's where the original Charlestown Wall used to be. You're standing on one of the first streets we ever had. The reason why I asked you all for names, what's that? This. Where you're standing, the cobblestone streets. So the Charlestown Wall actually went up Cumberland Street, and it would have been on the other side of East Bay, opposite of where we were walking. So again, would have been going south. So with this being one of the first streets, people used to live here. I commonly get the same two names over and over again. Those two names are Benjamin and John. That's the reason why I was asking you for BH and JJ, Benjamin and Popex, and John Johnson. Here's the weird thing of why this is actually going on. Every 6 to 7 weeks, those names will normally pop up. And yes, there were 4 different Johns who lived here, and we will get the name Johnson after it. Yes, that's it. His mother must have been evil. John Johnson. That's a horrible name. But anyway, we'll get those names because we're dealing with the stone tape theory down here. You're standing on bricks that have been here since at least 1739. At least, that we know of. That's based on historical records. We don't even know for sure. Basically, the stone tape theory states that any earthly material that's been in the same space for a long period of time, say a few hundred years, can hang on to the consciousness of the memories that occurred here. So every 6 to 7 weeks, we get those two names. We're in week 7 right now of that loop from the last time that I actually had those names pop up. We did have a Ben show up a few nights ago, but it was very sketchy. It was like very iffy if it was a full Ben or not. Like the end was missing or something. Out of the what I heard out of it. So again, I'm still waiting for the full amount. Now, these stones are made of granite. They're not supposed to have an electrical charge, meaning your EMF detectors. So Kason, I want you to pick any brick as long as it's dry and put your device on the ground. Like literally place it on the ground and see if you get any numbers out of it at all. I'm not worried about the antenna.
It's not saying the same.
It's about the numbers. So you guys keep an eye on those numbers for me and let me know how high it goes. I've seen it go as high as 15 from one of those bricks, from a brick that's not supposed to have an EMF to it. I would expect up to a 1.1, maybe 1.3, because that's natural from the earth. So again, do we have anything on it right now? See, up to 1.1. We're going to leave it there for just a minute or two, and then if you don't have anything, go ahead and pick it up. Now, before people lived here, the Freemasons had a Masonic lodge here, hence the name Lodge Alley. We also get terms wrapped around the Freemasons. So we'll get Mason, bricks, symbols, and we'll get the term Illuminati out of your red spirit boxes that you guys are using with the earbuds. So the interesting thing about that is, who the hell's talking about the Illuminati on the radio? Like, that's my first question. The second reason is, why are we only hearing it while we're in this space? Again, every one of them has been verified. 6 times last year alone. So far this year, it's been 3 times. So somebody will hear it on the way in and kind of chuckle like, I just heard Illuminati. I'm like, great, show it up again. So again, and it's not on a rhythm or a pattern like the other 2 names. Do you have any numbers?
29 right now.
Yeah, you can pick it up. We're probably not going to get anything out of it. So again, just some nights it goes way up. Other nights we get this 0. Now we.
I had some orange activity.
Okay. 2.1 and then 0.2.
2.2.
2.2. 2.3. So I'll take the 2.3 at this point. We'll leave it there for another second. On the service camera. You should have been on the whole time.
Okay. I thought you wanted me to wait till we got in the alley.
Yeah, we're in the alley.
I didn't know there was a certain time you wanted me to stay.
No, not at all. It doesn't matter like when we turn the block. Good.
I'm green a couple times and then orange a few times.
Is it staying steady? Like what we saw back at Pink here, just kind of flipping up.
When I first came over here, it went to orange, and then a minute or 2 later, now it's staying steady.
Because again, our steady air, like if you're really close to that building, you might get a little bit of a green dot from time to time, or it might say steady because of electrical wiring in the walls. But if you're getting like blips of 15, like that's definitely not coming from the walls.
That's what it was.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's good. That's actually a good sign. The next space we're going to go to is another alley. Again, we don't spend a lot of time here just because we're next to a hotel and it is considered a quiet space. I'm sure you guys have noticed I love to go where the other ghost tours don't go. So again, not a whole lot of other tours come down here. When they do, they tell you some stupid story about a boo hag or whatever the hell made up mythological creature they want to tell you about. Yeah, I'm giving the actual history. The next space, the alley. I can't take you all the way through it like what we're doing now. Why? I've been kicked out. You guys have all my blinky lights and noisemakers and all of that mess. So the owner of the beautiful mansion at the end of it. We are not allowed to be in residential areas. I was out of bounds. That was just a matter of getting caught. So that was my first year of doing this. Kind of played the new guy card. I'll tell you that story once we get there. We're actually going to go ahead and kill your laser at this point. So we'll see if anything pops up. Yeah, you're good if you want to shut your
I
mouth.
got look up.
If only
I was like, look up.
Hear a little bit of static. So I'm actually going to move this all to the back. You guys gave me enough to show me you guys know what you're actually doing out here. So, Jason, come on, we're going to go to the back. Let me get you guys all these answers. Together what you have. So if you can look through the letters and like, I don't know what to expect yet. Am I going to get just initials? Am I going to get anagrams? The word zinc is probably the first spelled out word I've actually seen on there. So again, here's what I'm excited about, just so you guys know. We do have a pretty high reading on Casey's device. It does fall into the average baseline, but he also had a motion, and I'm going to kind of go through what these numbers actually mean. But we also have the word throat that showed up on Kelly's word list, and then somebody else heard the name Johnny. I just told you about Big John, who got shot in the neck while he was in a bar fight with some cadets. So again, I'm excited about those two kind of matching up together. You guys gave me a couple of weird numbers. 89 and 29 both showed up. I don't have anything on that in the top of my brain. But again, I'm going to definitely dive in to see if something else matches up with that. The 89 specifically, it's probably nothing with the 29, but the 89 is a weird number. I think that's pretty much the only things that I was like, wow, check that out. The word zinc was spelled out on the little Ouija board device. So again, the very first time something's ever actually been spelled out over there, oh, we had in the garden. So who heard in the garden again? So where were you exactly? Up at the front? So I was wondering if you were actually in where the garden would have been.
I was kind of like in the middle over there.
Okay.
I had two.
Tools. Well, yours is writing them down for me. I don't have to write yours down. Because I just copy and paste those. Alright, so let's kind of go through these answers. Those of you with video cameras, go ahead and stop your videos, give your hands a break. So you got it. Look at you. You're on it. Nope, other one.
This one?
There you go.
Flashing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's not from me.
Her light just turned off by itself.
Did it really?
Yeah.
One.
That
This-
the
this
green
one.
laser.
Oh.
Are you sure you were pressing the button on it?
What? On the button. Walking. Walking. On the button.
Listen, you're walking too fast, bro.
Did you turn it on?
Like diagonal. Yeah.
See?
You walk over that way towards that wall.
The light keeps telling me what. Same thing?
No, Lucy.
You see anything really?
Mm-mm.
Hold it right there for 1 second. Listen.
Like I'm supposed to see it if something walks through it like
Yeah,
that.
yeah, it gets through it like that.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool little light. Fun.
I'm turning this one off and using this pretty much.
So there's people. Wish you go a little slower. We're together.
Your mom, she's enjoying it.
Where's she at?
She's over there. She's talking to her. She's talking on her phone.
What? Mom.
What?
Lucy, she's talking to him. Oh, really?
Alright, so what do we got going on with these spirit boxes? You guys got lots of spirit boxes over in this corner. Okay. Hopeless? Helpless. Helpless. What else do you have on there?
What?
Rope? How far back was that?
Just stand. Huh? Just stay
Next
still.
thing, John, I think I shot it.
I think I got it over here. So yeah.
We're only one block away. Get one over. Down the corner.
Red and yellow.
Is this the original wall?
Did you show that?
Yeah.
Everybody. It's not the original gate either. And actually the front door would have been a little bit more like a line of entry.
I don't know, right?
Any other restrictions on there? All pretty big. Yeah, I'll highlight
So
it.
you're supposed to be taking pictures. So you're supposed to be taking pictures. There's nothing for me to take a picture of. There's anything.
Am I recording right now?
Yes. Don't worry about the numbers.
Okay.
Yeah, it usually means that you move the camera and it went back to the
Okay.
widescreen portion of it, and you just jostled it. As long as that one's square.
Alright, so let's try this corner. We didn't try this one.
So there's three different ways that you guys can actually get the response. So the first response is from EMF. So magnetic.
Yeah, I still gotta watch that because I'll shoot up. Oh, that was on orange. I see.
It wasn't on orange. Look.
Yeah, it's going on orange.
See if you see something.
Bring it like where she is, Lucy.
Where are you at?
Maybe get back a little bit. Yeah.
See anything?
Went on orange again. Orange again.
Way over here. Here, I'll put this one. Hey, dummy, Jocelyne.
Do you see anything? I wonder how far I am away when you pick it up.
Nothing.
What does it mean when I see something? Is it movement or
It's
somebody
just,
talking? It's just picking up on
energy, I guess. I honestly
on
have
the
no
energy.
idea.
It's picking
You'll
up
have to
on the
ask.
It's picking up on my energy. Seriously.
I don't
Going
think
back to orange.
I don't think it's whenever you touch it.
You. See, I think.
It's staying on 2 and then going to 1.
Yeah. Is that? But look, why the closer it gets to me, look.
Hold on.
Take a picture. You see something?
No, there's no orbs or anything.
What was it?
I don't know. She's bringing him over here. Just keep it over there.
Okay, on 2. And then 6 to 3.
Well, it's staying on the orange right here. What is that?
So you're getting a little bit of a rhythm or a pattern. So
Okay.
normally when we get closer to the streets, we have the parking meters. The electrical lines are underneath the
Oh,
sidewalk.
gotcha. So it's
So,
picking up on that.
Normally I'm looking for the erraticism. So it's kind of a good thing that a rhythm showed up. Even if it goes straight to a color and stays there, it's usually a steady reading from a man-made object.
Yeah.
But
It
again,
didn't stay on there. It was
I seen like the orange though, it was kind of flickering in a pattern, like orange,
Oh,
orange,
gotcha. Yes,
orange.
yes.
Those are just little pulses.
Gotcha.
Your cell phone
Okay.
would do the exact same thing. So just to kind of give you an example, it's going to give a little bit of a pulse and a rhythm there.
Picking up on that
Yeah.
energy from that. Okay.
You got it. So
So
good catch,
because we're
though.
coming.
I like where your head's at.
Oh, you're over here like,
Check it out.
nothing special.
Lucy.
We need to go find the Lucy.
We gotta go find my mic.
She's over there near the white Jeep. Lucy.
Yeah, she's over this way.
All right, what do we got going on now?
What happened to your mansion?
It's because I came over here.
She's been a long time.
Donessa. She said it's because I came over here.
Oh, you see anything? In the
She's
middle?
probably heard all kinds of stuff. But could you pick up on something if it wasn't in this area? Did you say?
I can pick up orbs too.
Oh, you can pick up just regular ones. Yeah. Have you seen one at all?
I've seen one like on the reflection of the light from over there. And we were standing over there. But that's all.
Oh, okay. Just have to read it.
What do you got?
20.1.
How much?
20.1. Something like that.
Lucy, that was
I can't walk straight.
I can take it.
Oh, yeah. That's the evening. Come find me. Hello.
Lucy,
Is that me?
that's not how it works.
What the heck? Of course I got the dumbest one. Of course I did. It's the stupidest one ever. It's grits. People walk right here, bam.
Stop.
It's not wrong. You got a dang GoPro. They got voice readers. No, they got something stupid. I'm not wrong. I'm not wrong.
Stop.
I'm not wrong.
Stop pitching a fit.
You have to turn the light count off too, right? Yeah, the light count. Now, to let you know, if I get signal like that again, I want to shine it right at
You got any colors showing up? No. All right. Kelly, what do you got going on with yours? Have you heard?
Light and malicious.
Malicious?
Bananas.
Yeah.
Bananas.
I went up there and I
Have you heard anything come up out of yours yet?
I didn't know what it was supposed to be.
I think the only other person I really need to work with is going to be Kason at our next space. So have you had any letters show up at all yet?
F and H.
F and H. Any numbers show up on your device, Kason?
I got it to 1.6. I got like this, went right up to the car. Well, not right up, but I went like that and it spiked right from 0 to 1.6.
Okay, so again, that's going to be natural from the Earth. Anything up to 1.1, that's why I say 2.5 and higher. And we're going to talk more about that. Any colors show up on yours before we leave?
No.
All right, and any words show up on yours, Kelly?
Does Democrat count?
Yeah.
It's a possibility because of our next space. Again, we're going to see a little bit of bleed over. We're right next door to where we're going. So again, it's a great possibility. So I'll have to dive into that. All right, I say we get away from football players and ponies and go dive into some real history. What do you guys think? You guys ready? All right, let's do this. We're going to go this way. Alicia's like, yeah, I want to hear something. Let's go.
This is ready. I was after you.
You going to be my quiet one all night? Yeah. I can usually watch you guys an hour, right? It's okay. I'll get you checked out. Where do you need to go? There are going to be some times where you're actually going to have the game because we're going to be in certain spaces where we can't usually. I'll always give you the okay. Good question. Thanks for asking. That makes sense. But that's me. Here, part back here. You guys are going to make me talk all night long. Travis, do me a favor. With your camera, hit that orange square and then give it a second and tap it again. I just want to make sure that the temperatures are going to calibrate with what we actually have going on out here. They're probably going to be a little bit off of where we just were.
Yeah, it's back on now.
Perfect. All right, everybody. Welcome to your true first space. You made it to a parking lot. Congratulations.
Yay.
So, why are we here? This space used to be something. This used to be the Eliza and Charles Pinckney mansion site. So the layout of the land is pretty simple. The mansion sat in the front of this space facing East Bay Street. Eliza's garden was lined up with Five Church Restaurant and came all the way across, and we are standing in the servant and slave quarters for the home back here. So the reason I bring us back here is because I noticed a couple of cars are getting ready to leave. This is the only entrance and exit. And again, with it being a Saturday night, we're going to be kind of limited on space of where we can actually go. So we're basically going to be back here and then amongst, like, right up to the edges of those cars. So it's going to limit our space. So, who the heck were these people? Well, spirit boxes. Yes, sir.
I just spiked up to 2.6 and then it went down.
That's why they call it ghost hunting. They never stand still. So, 2.6, I'll definitely be writing down. So, spirit boxes. I am not going to be giving you questions like what color is George Washington's white horse, like what we did over there with the red barn. You will be getting the answers from your spirit boxes, and I will be withholding information on purpose. So that way everybody here has a genuine experience and you're just not getting subliminal messages. Is that fair? Again, that's why you guys are all here. Perfect. So, Charles and Eliza had a son named Charles. They had a nephew named Charles. That's three different Charleses.
2.7.
Okay, so hang on to those numbers for me. So the 2.7 is good, but we're going to escalate them as they go up. So that way you're not telling me like 5 and then 2, then 6, then 3. That way we can escalate them up. But that's 3 different Chucks, right? So we need to know which one we're chatting with, which is why I always look for those secondary verifiers that I talked about over there with Art and 40. So now that you guys have the gist of that. But the son and the nephew were signers of the Constitution for South Carolina. That's a pretty big deal for us, but I hate politics. And we're going to move on to Eliza. She has a much better story anyway. So that's why when you guys said Democrat, I'm like, okay, I don't know, because I have to look that up. So again, that's when you guys have to teach me something, and I got to go do some more research. Eliza married Charles at a young age, according to today's standards. I say that because if you're going to ask her how old she was when she got married, you're not going to hear numbers from colonial times of when she came, like 12 and 14. You're going to hear numbers according to today's standards. The other reason I bring that up is because Charles, her husband, was over double her age. Kind of a creepy age gap back then, definitely a creepy age gap now. So just kind of keep that in mind when you guys are going to be asking those questions. But she married him because her father, who was over in England, that's where she's from, thought he was dying, and he's trying to bring all of his kids home. She didn't think he was dying, so instead she got married. It's 1744. You don't get married in 1744 for a green card. We're not a country yet. So she did marry him out of love, so don't poke the bear about some kind of affair, because it never happened. A lot of people like to do that. But at any rate, she was right. Dad did not die right away. Instead, he started sending her gifts from England to this space. One of those gifts happened to be the plant seeds of indigo. Now, indigo is a plant that makes blue dye that makes our blue jeans blue. So some of you are probably wearing it tonight. I didn't even look. None of you are wearing it tonight. Well, oh, sorry, Jocelyne's got it on. But when Eliza got it, she didn't know what to do with these seeds. She had to learn from her slaves how to keep it cultivated. It's not always hot here. So once she had it figured out, she experimented with it here. She moved it to another plantation just south of here, made it a huge cash crop. She calls her father up over in England, not really, because it's the 1750s, and she says, the rice plantations are going downhill. We can make a killing with the indigo. Now we have an international businesswoman during colonial times. This is something absolutely unheard of. So obviously you guys can see why the other ghost tours won't come here. There's nothing to see. So let's investigate by using very specific questions. If you go rogue, I am going to go around the room and kind of assign questions. You can go rogue, just make sure it's something we can prove. If you're going to stick to the slaves, I can't prove any of it. There are no records of the Pinckney slaves. Fair enough. So with yours, I noticed you guys were talking. You said you didn't get anything yet other than F and H.
Yeah.
The button underneath the red light, turn it clockwise, about a quarter turn. That's the sensitivity for the EMF. So Susan, with your device, you have a spirit box, a specific type. So we're going to give you the children questions. You can ask Eliza how many children she had and what their names were, but that's all. The reason telling her that's all is because there's a tragedy among those kids. Don't poke the bear with this one. All activity will stop, including the small EMF that Kaysen's getting, and we're all going to know it's you that was poking the bear. So, it's a joke. With yours, because we're still experimenting, I just want to kind of see what starts to pop up. I'm hoping for initials if you want to try to get Eliza's initials out of it. So that'll be first and foremost. Alicia, yes.
Was she 15 when she got married?
No.
Okay.
Remember, she will not have a number like colonial time ages.
Gotcha. I just
Alicia, yours is difficult to hear, so I'm going to give you simple ones with simple answers.
Okay.
So, the mansion's not here anymore. What happened to it, and when did that happen? So again, very specific dates, numbers, months. We're going to be looking for a lot of clues out of that.
Okay.
With yours, Eliza's death. Anything you want to. How old she was, where she's buried, what she died from, and what president was a pallbearer at her funeral. So, yeah, what she died from, her age when she died. Again, just think of all the questions you would ask around somebody's death. Most people focus...
just think it or actually, like...
Whatever you're comfortable with. Some people are comfortable focusing on one question to see what they get. Some people like to speak out loud. It's just a matter of whatever your comfort level is. Next spirit box, what do we have here? So, with yours, Leanne,
yes.
I want to have you focus still on the mansion questions, because yours only usually gives us 1 to 2 syllable answers. The mansion questions. What happened to it? When did that happen? Kelly, you have a fun one. So, Eliza, we just talked about, is the second wife named Eliza from Charles back to back. Same year. The first wife died in January. He married the one we talked about in May, 5 months later. They're both named Eliza. So, Travis, look at that however you want to. You're the only guy here. It's really dumb or really smart. So, again, just however you want to go. However, both Elizas have a maiden name that starts with the letter L. Figure out which Eliza we're dealing with by asking for a maiden name. I'll also kind of let you focus on the marriage answers too. So how old she was when she got married, or how old Charles was, how many years they were married. Just focus on the marriage, and then of course which Eliza it actually was. Anybody else have a spirit box? No. That's an EMF detector. Yeah, you won't get answers out of that
Okay,
guy.
taking pictures.
Yes.
Taking pictures.
Taking pictures and giving me colors.
Okay.
All right, so again, with those of you with cameras, when people are walking to their vehicles, you go the opposite way, just like what's actually going on right now. They have no idea what the hell we're doing out here. A lot of people like to stop and ask, like, what are you doing in my car? But I am going to keep casing behind so I can show them more about that motion sensor, and then I'm going to be bouncing around with all of you, seeing what's going on with your devices, seeing if I can help piece the puzzle together. Remember, if you're asking questions, those answers can go anywhere. The audio pieces on the videos, my audio, or anybody else's spirit box or communication device. So we literally have about 9 pieces of answering questions of where it can actually go. But again, I give you the focal points on each one because I know your spirit box's capabilities. So let's spread out into space. So Travis and Casey, if you guys 3 just want to stick with me so I can show him how to use that device, and I'll be bouncing around with all of you. As far as the lasers go, lasers also. No, I'll be, like, if you can try to remember it, I'm pretty quick with bouncing around. I'm going to be writing it down. With lasers, just so you know, keep them off the vehicles as well. So I think you already got that point, but I'd like to reiterate it. Make sure it stays on the ground. But you guys got this. Nice slow movements.
Just to let you know, I did beat 7.9 out of 10.
You gotta.
At this point, I don't want to know anything below 7.
Did you see anything, Lily?
No, I just gotta follow her around. I think I gotta follow her around.
I don't know.
No.
Is that just the light going out, or?
I don't know.
So, again, very accurate. The bottom number, anything on that big number is above 2.5. I want to know what's going on because that should be Donessa's second green light. So that's why I like to use them in the same units of measure. The bottom is ambient temperature. In the event Dad actually finds something on his camera, then you and I can debunk it or prove it because he's going to direct us on where to go. We can prove it with a little probe that's right here. The last thing that it has is a motion sensor. So in the event something gets close to this antenna that I just pulled out, it's gonna go off. I'm not touching it right now. I'm touching it now. So again, I always listen for those tones, and you and I are gonna talk more about the motion sensor at the first stop that we'll use it, which is 2 stops from now. For now, all I want you to do is pay attention to the numbers and let me know anything above 2.5 that pops up.
Okay, on the top?
On the big numbers, yep, the top ones. 2.5 and higher. All right, the bag is going to be way lighter now, so thank you for that. That's awesome. Ooh, look at that. It's like nothing. So, had a group of 11 in a while. This is good. So, there's a reason why we started here, but you guys are going to make me talk all night, so I'm going to take a drink first. I'm pretty sure it is my job to talk all night, right?
Yep.
Yeah, I think so.
Yep.
All right, so, Casey's in charge, guys. Go have fun. Let me know what happens. So paying attention. Good. So, Big John's. There's a reason why we started here. Of course there is. The place is haunted. That's why we're here. Here's what goes on here. First off, you should know that Big John was an actual person. He was a football player for the 1947 New York Giants. I'm not a football fan. I had to memorize this crap just so I can tell it to you guys every night. So, whenever I'm giving you the history of a building, I'm always going to slow down on the specific keywords that I commonly get out of our spirit boxes and communication devices. I can't even call that a spirit box because it's not. It's visual. Now, the keywords here are going to be 47, New York, Giants, anything relative to a ball. So here's why the place is haunted. John used to sit in the back of the place, and he would tell the bartender if the cadets coming over from the Citadel, if they were old enough to drink or not. One night, 2 guys came in, they weren't old enough to drink. So he had the bartender throw them out. They left pretty pissed off, and they came back the next night and tried to steal the cash register from the front of the bar. John saw what was going on, he slams down his beer, probably spilled everywhere, and he goes over and just starts beating these guys to a pulp, just pounding them right into the floor. A couple of gunshots went off during that bar fight. John got grazed in the neck, and the bullet landed behind him in the wall. John, being the only one that's been shot, gets up, goes back to the bar, and tells the bartender to get him another beer, get the 2 guys on the floor in an ambulance. So, normally if I tell you that a building is haunted, you automatically think of some kind of tragic death that occurred in that building. That's not the case here. Here's what's going on. The bullet hole, it's allegedly still here. I say allegedly because the renovation of Big John's may have filled it in. That means that they basically just sealed in Big John's blood into the building. People that sit in the front of the bar tend to get a little queasy, nauseous, or headaches. And it comes a lot of times that I hear that from you guys before I even tell you the story. I send everybody the same text I sent you guys this morning, so they go eat dinner there, and then they can't finish their beautiful steak. So this is kind of your heated warning. They don't really feel well when they go there. If anybody is not feeling well during our night together, I need to know immediately. It is a very big deal to me, and as you guys already kind of picked up on with me telling you I won't take people to the jail. But again, we're going to be dealing with paranormal activity tonight, fingers crossed. We're still kind of coming out of a full moon phase. We're still at 97%. We never know what's going to happen. We're going to move the whole party and get that person to safety if somebody's not feeling well. Is that fair? We're always going to blame it on weather first and the fact that most of you are on vacation. So again, not everything's going to be paranormal, just so you guys know. I'm not that guy where I'm going to be Zach Bagans and shove you into a dark hole. So let's get our minds off our own health before we move out of this very loud, noisy space. We had a big earthquake here in 1886. You guys should already know that if you already took another tour here in Charleston, because we all talk about it. It's an anomaly for us because we're not supposed to have earthquakes, we're supposed to have hurricanes. But Big John's is allegedly where the first death occurred from that earthquake. The white mantle you see in the middle of the building broke off in the front of it, hit somebody in the back of the head, and then killed them. They say you could see his ghost in the middle of East Bay Street in the middle of the night. Now, I don't have any proof of that story, which is exactly why I said allegedly a lot. It's just a great segue, so nobody's thinking about getting sick on the tour, even though I just brought it up again. So, is everybody ready to go ghost hunting? We're going to leave it up to Lucy. Yes, she says yes. Okay, Lucy's ready to go, everybody. No, okay, I'm just giving you a hard time. All right, let's head up this way.
That's why you book your family.
Alright, wait till everybody kind of trails in. I don't normally stand underneath the light. I don't want you guys to see what I look like, right? So I'm supposed to be the dark figure that you follow around town. But there's a lot of cars in here, which kind of brings me to my first point. There's 3 of you with cameras. We're going to be in spaces just like this, and it is a busy Saturday night where there's going to be parked vehicles and people walking by. People don't have any idea what they're doing unless they've been on one of my tours in the past. So we are not going to be filming any vehicles for long periods of time or anybody walking by. They don't like it. We'll just say, imagine if it was your own car and somebody was filming it with a thermal imaging camera, wondering how long your car's been sitting there, because he's going to know. So, pictures, where's my picture taker? Donessa. So again, you could be a tourist all night long. It doesn't matter. Just don't be taking pictures of somebody's license plate. They get really pissed off.
Okay.
So, alright, so welcome to the Big Red Barn Lot. We're not going to spend a lot of time here. This is just to explain your devices a little bit further now that they're inside your hands. The history here, well, first off, you need to know, like, there's horses inside that building, which is why you guys are using earbuds and you have your spirit boxes on mute. So, this is the same red barn that held horses that delivered milk and eggs to the residents of Charleston, 1860s to 1920s. So, the keywords here are going to be delivery, milk, and eggs. Let's talk about spirit boxes first, since that's kind of the majority of you, right? You have some kind of communication device. What's the first question that everybody wants to ask a Ouija board or a spirit box? You guys have seen movies. What do you know? What's the first question you want to ask?
What's your name?
It's not school, buddy. Shout it out.
First, if it even moves, how does that even happen? If you don't even move.
What do you ask them?
What do you ask them?
What do you ask? What do you ask them?
Okay, we
What's
got
your
who
name?
are you? What else?
Yeah.
How did you die?
How did you die? What else? Normally, is anybody here?
Yeah.
Right? That's usually the first question everybody wants to ask because the Ouija board has a yes/no option. So that's my whole point. We are not going to be asking yes/no questions all night long. The reason for that, if we say, is anybody here? And Susan hears no, that means somebody's here. Okay? So again, even if you're a skeptic and you don't believe in ghosts, you're here for some kind of paranormal proof. We're going after the details. For example, in a space like this, when I'm teaching people how to use spirit boxes, if anybody's here, tell me what color the big red barn is. Obviously, we are looking and listening for the color red. I say looking because Kelly actually has a word for it. She doesn't have to listen. So but the rest of you are using song lyrics and DJs to convey messages back to us, and the word red might not be available to the ghost to use at that time. Fire truck, blood, heart. Those three things are specifically red. I would take that as an acceptable answer. However, most of the night I'm going to require that there's at least two happenings. You guys have at least 15 devices among all of you right now. So two things to go on to be able to even come close to calling it paranormal. Another example. Let's say Kelly's word list has the word art on it. That doesn't mean anything over here by itself. But then, Leanne, am I getting that right?
Yes.
So, and then Leanne here is the number 40 on her spirit box. Now together, Art and 40 is Art Faircloth, who is number 40 on Big John's team. You guys see where I'm going with this? It's going to be about piecing the clues together. This is more of an escape room than it is a ghost tour. So again, you guys are going to have more fun with it when you start thinking of it as what pieces of the puzzle do I need to piece together first. That's why you guys keep me around. I'm the outside-the-box thinker. So, now that everybody has a better gist on their spirit boxes, just remember those of you with the noisemakers, those ones are using song lyrics and DJs. Some of you come up to me and say, oh, all I'm hearing is radio stations. If you hear Buy a Kia Today and Welcome to Charleston, I want to know that you heard Buy a Kia Today and Welcome to Charleston. Because the word buy might actually be relevant to our space. You hear the song Drop It Like It's Hot. I want to know that you heard Drop It Like It's Hot. That's kind of the mentality that we're going after with these. Just whatever you hear, no matter how silly you think it might be. Cameras. We're going to start with Travis. So you're going to try to do two things throughout the entire night. I know I told you not to film people walking by, but I do want you to try to keep one of us in view. The reason for that, we're the warmest thing out here, our skin tone. It's going to give you the array of colors so we can spot the cold spots a lot easier. The slower the movements, the better. You're also going to try to keep the sky out. There's no surface on the sky. The blue dot will go to the sky every single time if it's in view. Some places that's going to be impossible, just do your best. All right. You too. Shine one of your lasers down for me. Perfect. So, with yours, Lily, when you're filming it, you literally want to take like a step or two back, and you want to be filming through it, because we're looking for things up here. We're not going to be pointing down at it, because we already know what the green dots on the ground look like. So when you're filming this, the two of you are almost going to be like moving in unison, so that way you can actually see any movement that's going to be coming through here. Now, if you want to use these together, Lucy, you can, but you want to keep them side by side. Don't cross the streams. Nobody got my Ghostbuster joke?
Yeah.
Ah, somebody got it. Good. Perfect. Look at you, right at the tip of your toes, side by side. The reason why is because you just created two giant grids instead of just one. If you cross the streams, you just have one giant one. So the other thing with your camera is that it will pick up orbs. So again, I caught plenty of orbs with that camera. So just kind of keep that in mind too. I'm not just watching the lasers when I'm reviewing your video. I'm looking for anything that's out of place. I will debunk a lot of bugs for you. Hope here, this one actually gets an accompanying device. So I'm actually going to have Lucy and Lily. You have that name right? Oh, look at me go. So I'm going to have them working together. Hopefully that'll bring Lucy out of her shell. So with that said, Lily, this one's actually going to go to you. So don't be, I already got it started recording. I want to make sure like that it's going to work okay. We don't have a whole lot of humidity, but sometimes that'll actually affect it. So yep, you got it. It's got a little bit of weight to it. Don't be afraid of it. You're good. All right, so this is the accompanying item. I just like to make sure I have it within the same party. So if I skipped over your party, that's the only reason why. This is the neuralizer from Men in Black. None of you are going to remember anything by the time we're done. See, more giggles. That's why I do the jokes. Lasers. So we're going to be working with lasers on this because the camera that I just handed over to Lily can actually see these like a Christmas tree. What's the point of this? You can't see the lasers until something actually passes through it. That's the whole point. We're looking for motion to go through this. It's not always an in-the-moment type field, but the two of them working together, I'm hoping that they're going to be able to capture something together. So we're going to be using two different types of lasers. The second one gives us red squares. Why do we use red squares? Because in the event we capture something here, I can give you the still from the camera, put it in 3D software, and give you a full 3D view of what we caught along with measurements. I've had this guy for about a year. It hasn't actually been able to take the photographs I've given it yet, so hopefully this Lucy over here is going to be our lucky charm. So with that said, lasers stay on the ground at all times unless I direct you otherwise. It's very busy downtown, but when you're using these, this one has a light switch, so once you turn it on, it stays on, so be careful not to move it out of whack. It will blind a driver. Make sure that the laser is always touching your toe. This one has a button right where my index finger is, so when that one's on, again, make sure it's touching your toe and always point them at the ground.
Okay.
So kind of get used to those. Make sure they're both pointed down right now. Spirit boxes. Yes. Everybody wants a spirit box. It's okay, we got 6 of them. And they all do something a little bit differently. So, spirit boxes, if you're unfamiliar with them, It's basically a box that's going to create white noise by sweeping through FM radio stations. So what does that do? Normally on your television shows and YouTube videos, your host will tell you what he thinks he heard in the middle of that white noise by putting it up on your screen. So we're going to be doing that in real time. However, finding a disembodied voice like what they show you on TV is a rarity. I only capture about 4 to 5 of those a year, not 12 per episode. So yeah, I'm debunking a lot of the stuff you guys see on TV already. So with these being slowed down, it's going to allow the radio chatter to come through. So DJs, song lyrics, commercials, those things will slip through, and that is what we're listening for. If we can make out what the song lyric or DJ is saying, it's a 50-50 shot. We can tie it to the location of where we are, a person in history we're discussing, or even something going on with one of you. It happens all the time. So, again, this one is Susan. Yeah, you're going to have an earbud in. So you're going to be the only one to hear it in real time. I'll be writing down whatever you hear, but this one's also recording. I'm going to spot check this recording for you tomorrow morning, give you about 15 to 25 more markers based on things that I hear. In the event I find something relevant to the person, place, or one of us, I will always give an explanation and then a link to be able to verify the information. Again, I'm not making anything up out here. It's a matter of actual research. So, with that said, your earwax is gross. I'm sorry. You get to keep these. I don't want them back. Undo your twist tie, and then your volume button is right here at the top. So, again, I'm going to turn it all the way down so you don't get blasted in the ear when you pop it in. Most people only wear one, just so you have that idea.
Are you? Have you seen anything yet?
No. I've seen. I've watched those things before.
But I'm saying, have you seen anything on that specifically right where we're at? I don't know who it's to.
You find that most of the time it's not up to highway.
It's based on your hearing, not mine. So it's whatever comfortability you have. I do have 2 of these, but this one's not going to record. So again, I'm going to be relying on the person in real time to be able to capture anything from this particular device. So Jocelyne, I think I'm going to go with you on this one. So again, your earwax is also gross. You get to keep the earbuds. Twist tie, volume is the wheel. So I'm going to turn it all the way down.
So just like going right here.
Yep. So you guys will see I'm going to be bouncing around with all of you. Like, hey, what have we heard? What have we got going on? The next spirit box, we don't actually have to listen to it. That's the beauty of it. There's no second guessing what we actually heard or what we think we heard. So this one's going to give us words from time to time in the center of the screen. If you're familiar with the TV shows, this is going to be like the obelisk that you guys would normally see on TV. So this one has 5 times the amount of words in its dictionary. So with that said, it's going to save all of those terms and words into a list with timestamps. This is the first thing I look at when I'm going through your data, because this way it tells me where to listen to the spirit box recording, the video, so forth and so on. I'm going to clear out last night's list. They had 99 terms show up. So here's what I'm going to tell you about this word list. This is a phone app. 80% of this is going to be absolute garbage. So it's the other 20%, you're going to get the full list back, because sometimes things are relevant to you that I just don't know. That's why I give you the full list. But what is relevant, I'll give the explanation and a link to be able to verify the information. So with that said, Kelly, this one's going to go to you. So I don't want to see every word that pops up, otherwise we're going to be out here till like 4 in the morning. I will come to you when I want to see the word list. If you want to check it out, it's just a little white box next to it, and then you just circle back at the top right. Nice and easy to use. Let's see. This spirit box is actually an older style of a spirit box. It works the exact same way as the red ones with the earbuds. However, it's not super loud, and because it is an older school spirit box, I have a ball speaker attached to it. So, Alicia, was it? Oh, look at me. So, Alicia, this one's going to go to you. So, your volume is right here on the ball speaker. I roll it down, obviously when I'm talking to the whole group, and then you just hold it up and give it a few seconds to get some volume out of it.
Okay.
Part of the reason why I'm giving you an open air one is because Lily has a camera.
Yeah.
It might be able to pick up the audio in the event that you guys miss something. So we also have it on the audio. Let's see. Yes, I told you, I have a million spirit boxes. Jason, your spirit box is also going to be open-ended. It's going to have an open speaker to it, but it also works completely different. What it's going to do is it's going to sweep through both the FM and AM radio stations at the same time. Actually, I think I take this back. I think I want this one to go to you. Leanne, correct? So, Leanne, this one, again, AM and FM at the same time, but it's going to attempt to take out the white noise that Susan and Jocelyne are listening to. So, with that said, hopefully you're only going to hear about 10 to 12 words out of this. This thing's about 75% accurate to our location. I love this guy. Had it for a few months, it's been fantastic. The only thing you need to worry about is how to hold it. This is the face of it, where you're gonna be looking at the lights. The speaker's at the bottom. So, blinking lights are at the top. On the right-hand side is the mute button. It's the only button there. I have it on mute right now, just because we're gonna be near some ponies soon. I'll let you know when it's safe to actually unmute it, and this way you guys can actually use 2 spirit boxes simultaneously. So that one goes to you.
Lights coordinate.
Yes.
Thank you.
You got it.
You seen anything yet? I seen you got your lasers on either.
This one is literally brand new. Had it less than 2 weeks. It's got a bunch of letters on there. It's going to hopefully stop based on EMF detection on specific letters. And kind of think of this as kind of a digital Ouija board, in a sense. Again, doesn't have anything attached to it. I say the word Ouija and everybody freaks out the past week. So that's exactly the only description I can have for this guy, but it's going to be based off of any EMF that's going to be around us. So it's going to stop on letters. Hopefully we're going to get anagrams, initials. We can change it over to numbers. So we're going to be kind of playing around with this guy quite a bit. So, Anne, this one's actually going to go to you because you look very like, oh, that's a new device. So this one, again, I'm going to turn down the sensitivity and we'll crank it up slowly if we're not getting much out of it. All right, so you guys have all seen these on your TV shows, right? So these are pretty basic things to actually have. So what this guy does, it's going to measure electromagnetic fields. Any kind of wiring, your cell phones, parking meters, that kind of thing. I use this one to debunk a lot. The reason they love to use them on TV is because they're super sensitive, and if it goes anywhere in the middle, they freak out. So again, it doesn't go very high, just so you know, as far as measurements go. But we do use these to debunk things, and because this is such a simple job, Donessa, you're going to have 2 jobs. Yeah, you're going to be double fisting. Sorry. If I messed up anybody's name yet, we got it pretty good. I'm a writer. You're all characters to me right now. Like, that's how that goes. So, I don't normally hand this to teenagers because they don't know what the hell it is. So it is a digital camera. Yes, that's a joke, everybody. So hundreds and hundreds of pictures. You can take 5, you can take 500. It doesn't bother me one bit. Okay. You're going to get all of the photos back. Selfies will be deleted, so don't hand it to the girls because you know exactly what they're going to do. So there's no flash on this on purpose. So when you're taking pictures, please be very still. It's, again, it'll look blurry if you don't without a flash. The reason we have no flash on this is because we don't want any false positives. We don't want anything coming up where I have to send it to my wife, the photographer, and say, what the hell's going on here? And it's just a light flickering off of a windshield. So you're going to have both of these. The shoot button is the biggest one all the way to the right. Okay. If it shuts off because you didn't take a lot of pictures, it's going to shut off. The power button's right next to that. Okay. So, but again, I already have the colors memorized here, so all you got to do is let me know when you see colors. Okay, thanks. Jason, you get to carry the bag, buddy. All right. You actually are going to be my multitasker. Figured I'd keep you busy. So, this is what we call a millimeter. This device actually has 3 different functions to it. It has an EMF detector in it, just like the one I handed Donessa, only yours is digital, and it goes way higher than 25.